And welcome back to MICAM X. Today's guest for sustainability session is Ryan Hunt, who is co-founder and chief technology officer at ALGIX Bloom. So hello, Ryan, and welcome. Nice to have you here with us today.
Hi, thank you. Glad to be here.
So before we begin, could you tell our audience briefly what your role in the company is? Like, what are your responsibilities? What do you do exactly?
Yeah, so I'm the co-founder of the company. And so for the past 10 years, we've been on a mission to build a supply chain around using algae as a tool for environmental restoration and environmental protection. So my role as a co-founder has varied over the years, but I've been involved in the technology development as well as the commercialization of our products and services.
That is so cool with the algae. I mean, why are companies that investing in algae as a technology and material, which I find very fascinating, and good job doing this. Compliments.
Well, if you look at algae, it's really a very unique class of organisms. There's over 30,000 different species of algae.
Really?
And yeah, so
wow.
it's a diverse class. It's not just one thing, but the algae on Earth are responsible for the majority of the oxygen production and actually capture more carbon than all of the forests on the planet combined.
That's crazy.
So algae is the net primary producer and can grow 10 to 100 times faster than plants and trees. So it really represents this massive opportunity to use sunlight in nature to capture carbon, to clean water, and to produce a renewable feedstock that we can convert into a wide range of bio-based products.
That is really fascinating. Let's just go live underwater. So why should brands and footwear companies look for algae-based materials as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, so, algae provides some specific benefits around how it can help us restore environmental issues on the planet. And with some of the new technologies and brands focusing on circularity and sustainability in their products, algae can be a way to incorporate quantifiable benefits to their products. So we see that algae can take pollution from factories, from communities, from industry, and turn that back into a replacement for petroleum-based materials that we currently use to make our consumer products. So we see that brands are looking to decrease their carbon footprint, and algae is the most efficient organism to do that.
How long do you think it's going to take before the world as a whole starts to understand that that is the right way to go?
Well, I think we've seen over the past few years a massive increase, an exponential increase. We've been preaching this for over a decade now, and the research in algae goes back, at least in the U.S., until the 1970s, when the federal government sponsored federal research for algae-based biofuels. That had a big boom in the mid-2000s, but with the collapse of the price of oil over the past, let's say, 5 to 7 years, biofuels have been really tough. So most of the companies that survived that bubble have been focusing on new markets, and these new markets are brands and companies and products that are much more consumer-centric. So our hope is by working with brands like Adidas and other forward-facing public consumer product brands, we can get the word out about how beneficial algae is as a new circular technology.
Now, the algae you talk about, is this the algae that you would actually get from the Earth's or from the world's waters? Then the worry comes that people start to realize, okay, this is a really great thing. So then people start exploiting the waters of the world. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, how do you find a balance between the two? Because you know how human beings are. Human beings, they think, oh, this is great. Let's go get it, And then next thing you know, there's no more algae, and then other problems start to happen.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's one that we definitely hear a lot. And I would say that fundamentally the algae grows so fast that, it's hard to just get rid of algae. It's impossible. It grows so fast, and it's ubiquitous around the planet. But what we find are there specific hotspots where algae blooms are occurring, and these blooms are feeding off of human pollution. So
come on,
phosphorus.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, imagine that, right?
Wow.
So we really have a two-pronged approach. On the one hand, we're working with companies that in government agencies that are harvesting algae out of lakes and ecosystems that are out of balance. So there the goal is to harvest the biomass, pull it out of the material, out of the environment, and restore balance back to that ecosystem. On the other hand, we also realize that as humans keep polluting, these ecosystems are going to maintain this state of inequilibrium. So how do we, so the way we address that is we go upstream. We go to the factory source. We go to the point of emission, and we intercept that pollution. We intercept those emissions at the factory, the power plant, the water plant, and we do that through cultivating algae in collaboration with these factories and partners, utility partners. So it's really this environmental protection and environmental restoration coupled together in a two-pronged approach.
That's cool. So there's no harm, let's say, to the fish.
No, in fact, the process of harvesting the algae returns a filtered, highly oxygenated water back to the ecosystem. And that's really the damage and the problem with algae blooms is that they can suck up all the oxygen and they can suffocate fish if it gets too dense and too thick. So the mere act of harvesting the algae restores balance and puts oxygen back into the ecosystem to really save the fish and other organisms that live in the waters.
So it's a win-win situation. So let's all do this. I mean, I'm all for it. I think it's great.
So it's our mission to create algae as a resource. And to do that, we need to incentivize government agencies, utility companies, and factories to view their pollution as a resource and view algae as a way to convert their pollution into a valuable feedstock that has commercial value. So by using algae to clean the water and clean air pollution, we're actually incentivizing companies to reduce their emissions into the environment.
That's amazing. Ryan, how are the beneficial impacts of bloom measured and communicated?
So we work with our customers and our brands by communicating the specific benefits of bloom materials through how much water has been cleaned through the harvesting process and how much carbon has been captured through the algae growth. And that is quantified based on a pair of shoes or a yoga mat or however much of the bloom materials actually being put into the product. So the brands can talk about their positive, quantifiable environmental benefit related to those specific metrics.
Okay, well, that was really interesting. It was really great talking to you, and thank you for being with us here today. Hopefully next time we'll all be meeting in person someplace. I just want to thank you again and say hello to Mississippi. And thank everybody for watching. Don't miss the next appointment. Check out the updated agenda on MICAM X, .themicam.com. See everybody later, and thank you.